stage. Joining us now is Oklahoma Senate candidate T.W. Shannon. T.W., welcome back to the show. Earlier we played a clip of Congressman Bishop saying that we have to make sure police are not discouraged from going into active shooting situations, which is what seemed to happen in Uvalde, obviously. But law enforcement acted very differently during yesterday's shooting in Tulsa. The police chief said that they disregarded any safety measures that they had for themselves, and they entered the hospital immediately. Of course, both shooters are dead now. An investigation is underway in Uvalde. People rightfully have a lot of questions regarding the delay in action. But what do you make of the immediate scrutiny that we're seeing toward law enforcement versus these sick individuals who are committing mass murder?
Well, first, I want to say thank you all for having me and covering this tragedy that we're seeing in Tulsa, America City, I used to live in, and that I'm proud to, hopefully represent in the United States Senate. But the truth is, every time there's a tragedy in the United States, we see the same talking points from the left. There is an anti-gun, anti-police agenda, and we're seeing it play out right before our very eyes. The truth is, America is less safe with Joe Biden in office. We're seeing a spike in crime across the country. People are angry. People were encouraged during the campaign to go out and riot and break the law. And we've talked a lot about defunding the police. So it's no surprise that we see this sense of lawlessness happening under Joe Biden's watch. But the reality is, in order to get back to safe communities, we need strong families. And that's where we really need to start. And we need leaders who will stand up and say, if we're going to send $40 billion to protect the border and arm the citizens of Ukraine, we can at least spend $40 billion in our schools to protect our schools. And we need to have another discussion that hasn't been real popular. We probably need to have a discussion in this country about what we're calling gun-free zones, because they seem to be targets by these deranged, evil people that the media seems to have so much sympathy for.
Add to that, you can talk also about the mental health issues that I think impact a lot of these individuals. We saw the shooter in Tulsa. He was actually able to buy a gun 3 hours before targeting the hospital. So I think this raises, more of a discussion when it comes to background checks, red flag laws. I mean, it is something where I do think you can have Republicans and Democrats at the national level maybe find some common ground. Where do you think Republicans and Democrats can come together to find a way that we could prevent these kinds of mass shootings?
Well, I think the first thing we need to recognize is that evil exists in this world, and that there are some tragedies that are going to be with us, unfortunately, because we have people who want to do evil. But certainly where I think there should be agreement is on the Constitution. And the Constitution is very clear that the Second Amendment is non-negotiable. And the fact that we have to realize, Mercedes, we are in a war against the radical left who wants to disarm Americans. And so this is not the time for Republicans to bend 1 inch on the Constitution or the Second Amendment. It's there for a reason. And we know that these tragedies exist. But what we have to do is make sure that we are providing public safety. We're supporting law enforcement as we should. We're not demonizing them. And we're not, when they do make mistakes, we are holding them accountable. But certainly we recognize that there are people who are running toward danger when everybody else is running away, and they should be celebrated, not villainized, as the left has, as we've seen the left do so many times. And on my website, TW for Senate, we're talking about this very thing, how we have to push back against this woke agenda that's trying to invade our country and, frankly, trying to take over the values of America. What made America great is the Constitution, capitalism, and Christianity, and that's what's going to fix the problems that we're facing right now.
TW, I'd like to get your thoughts on Congressman Greg Steube. He pointed out today what types of guns that the Democrats' bill are effectively going to ban. Watch this.
Here's a gun I carry every single day to protect myself, my family, my wife, my home. This is a XL 6-hour P365. Comes with a 15-round magazine. Here's a 7-round magazine, which would be less than what would be lawful under this bill if this bill were to become law. It doesn't fit. So this gun would be banned.
I hope the gun is not loaded.
I'm at my house. I can do whatever I want with my guns.
TW, I think a lot of Americans are watching what's happening in Canada and thinking, are we next?
Yeah, or Australia, right? I mean, we know this. There is an attempt to disarm American citizens. The same Democrats who are trying to disarm Americans are voting to send $40 billion to Ukraine to arm the citizens of Ukraine and to protect their border while our border remains open. Listen, I'm a gun owner. I have an AR, assault rifle. I have handguns in my home. My children have used them. We train with them. We practice. We target. We're not criminals. There is no need to disarm Americans. And the idea that the Democrats want to do that, it's part of their agenda to disarm Americans, and they have an anti-police agenda. And this is not the time for Republicans to cede 1 inch on what they call gun control, because it's not, it's citizen control. That's what they're trying to control, law-abiding citizens. Let's go at the criminals. Let's hold them accountable, and let's secure the border.
Right.
Yes.
And I do believe that if we can find common ground on the school security issue, I think that making sure that we can have armed teachers or armed law enforcement in the schools, it is doable. T.W. Shannon, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. It's a pleasure.